Marjorie Greene is apparently ready for a divorce. Not a personal thing. Who knows if that'll come, but for the whole country, should America have a national divorce? That is what she polled her following on Twitter. And imagine if you could get her Twitter following in a room together. Damn, I wouldn't want to be in that room. But here's what they had to say. And honestly, they weren't necessarily as supportive of it as I might have expected. 43% said yes by Republican and D states. How exactly do you break that down? Is it like by presidential vote, and then we're gonna have an audit of Georgia? It would be a mess, but that's what they say. 47.5% said no, stay together, and 9.5% were undecided. By the way, in the future for Twitter polls, don't say that you're undecided. It's just a Twitter poll. Pull the trigger, man. Just come on, click on something. Seriously, it ain't that important.
I kind of don't understand any undecided. It's like if there's a poll that I'm undecided on, I just kind of don't say anything.
You just don't answer. Like, it's Twitter. Come on. Anyway, it's not going on your permanent record. But anyway, less than half said yes, we should split apart. But it's apparently something that she's been thinking about. She retweeted this other crazy person who had this map with national divorce is expensive, but it's worth every penny. Sure, look, we've shown you the numbers on which states give more than they get from the federal government and vice versa. We'll see how expensive it ends up being for you in the end. But JR, this is something that she is sort of, at least sort of implicitly encouraging since she's asking about it. But what do you think about the response? What do you think about the national divorce?
Yeah, it's we mentioned a little bit Monday, I think, on the main show. How again? You kind of touched on this. How does that work? Let's just talk just with the California recall stuff we saw. We saw how the northern parts and northeast parts of the state and all the way to the top, and even say like little counties here and there, were all very much into the recall. And then the vast majority of the rest of the state, more populated areas, were not. So like California's this blue state, everyone says, if you don't live here. There's plenty of red areas in California, there's plenty. So what happens when California is on the blue state side? And all those conservatives here are like, oh yeah, suddenly we believe in what those libs are believing in. It doesn't make much sense. And how does the division happen? How does the support for it happen? Who is fighting this whole separation and civil war and divorce that they keep talking about? It's all more of the same stuff, like you were pointing out earlier. If it doesn't really have anything to do with actually affecting your life or actually changing whatever predicament and situation you're in that your government should be a part of because you pay into it, then it's just a distraction. How does this really work? So we got people thinking about, how do we have a national divorce? Well, in the meantime, they're last night they were thinking, how do I take care of this cyst on my neck that I don't really want to go to the doctor for because they're gonna charge me up the ass for it and I have no idea what's gonna happen. You discard that to talk about the national divorce because you're mad at Joe Biden about something.
Yeah, well look, I agree, look, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So yes, on some level, it definitely is a waste of time, but it's something that not just Marjorie Greene is thinking about. A poll conducted by the University of Virginia shows that 4 in 10 Biden supporters and 52% of Trump voters at least somewhat agree that it's time to split the country, favoring blue-red states seceding from the union. Well, what else would it be? But by the way, if we do ever set that up, I think it should be set up based upon the sort of base level understanding that I have now of how football works in the UK based on watching Ted Lasso. We should split by blue and red, but every year there should be the chance for one of the red states to be promoted to blue if they get their act together.
John,
I think that would be a good incentive for them.
Spoilers, I just started the show, bro.
That's just started the spoiler. Anyway, I want to make maybe a dumb point. I don't know, maybe a weird point. It's the reason I wanted to talk about this. And by the way, I'm going to say that I don't understand something. I do understand cynically how politicians use this, but once again, I want to talk about uneven battles. So we have right wingers who are mad at left wingers, or conservatives who are mad at Dems and think that they're ruining the country. And on the other side, you have Dems who think that right wingers are ruining the country. So if I were to list like the 10 things that I think, I would probably put it more just corporatist because Dems are doing it too, but that these people are doing that are severely hurting the country, it would be stuff like, the student debt bubble, not dealing with climate change, making healthcare impossible to achieve, not having paid family leave, not being able to afford an education in the first place, things like that. What is their actual problem with? Like, I don't worship your God, that's true, and I'm pretty okay with like a refugee from El Salvador moving into the neighborhood. That's not as bad, I don't think. Like, I know that probably makes me seem stupid and shallow, that I don't think that their concerns are as legitimate. But I really do think that it's vague, stupid BS. It's the war on Christmas, it's cancel culture. These are not, for the most part, they're not serious concerns. And it doesn't mean that those conservatives don't have serious concerns. Those serious concerns that conservatives have just have nothing to do with what politicians like Marjorie Greene talk about and try to do in office. And so if we were to split, I sort of get why some libs might want to split off. They want to finally make good on these crises. But the other side, it's like, you want to be free to, like, I don't know, stop your wife from working, like ban interracial marriage. That sucks, man. It really sucks.
Yeah, it's based in this very primal superiority thing. All this is based in superiority and levels of society that for some reason, even folks that in many of these conservative areas are in the bottom of are promoting. Yeah. They fooled them into thinking that, hey, if you separate into these, okay, Texas, Alabama, whatever, separates into this conservative part of this country, this separate country called Jefferson or something, right? And then after they separate, are there no more like societal differences? Are there no more poor people? Are there no more people at the top stealing money from you? Are there no more people that are just running through the system, taking everything and then not allowing you to have any access to it? Do taxes not exist anymore? How does it work? How does the pay for work? Because the rich folks don't have to pay anything, and the poor people have to pay everything and not get anything back. Because that's what you're supporting. That's the basis for many of these economic policies for these conservative groups anyway, and conservative politicians, because they're answering to their lords, which are corporations and rich people. How does it work for you at the end once you've separated? Everybody's kings there? Because by the way, if everybody's doing great, and everybody's getting all this extra stuff, that sounds like that whole socialist agenda where everybody has something and part of the country. What do you want? What is it you want?
The thing that bothers me about what you're saying is you didn't say this, to be fair, but you implied that Marjorie Greene hasn't thought this through all the way. And I don't like that. I don't appreciate that.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.